Hola! So my mother came in 8 minutes into the original video for this topic, which is great. The day is going so wrong. You have no idea, YouTube community. You have no freaking idea. Okay, moving on. So I guess I'll just make this shorter, which is probably best, I guess. I was doing a review of my favorite books, so I guess I will do that again. Thanks, Mom. Okay, happy face. Okay, so Love Poems by Pablo Neruda. Let's see. Cuando no puedo mirar tu cara, miro tus pies de hueso aqua. When I cannot look at your face, I look at your feet. Your feet are arched around you, your hard little feet. See, the thing about Pablo Neruda is you like start reading it and you're kind of like, this is kind of weird. But then like the last one is always the kicker. For example, but I love your feet only because they walked upon the earth and upon the wind and upon the waters until they found me. Aww. Only you and I, my love, listen to it. Aww. All the years of my life I've walked around looking for them. Aww. My love, in the darkest hour your laughter opens, and if suddenly you see my blood staining the stones of the street, laugh, because your laughter will be for my hands like a fresh sword. Also, we have, wait, Harry Potter. Yes, I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter until I was 18. The day I turned 18, you better believe I bought this book. Yeah, because it had witchcraft, so I wasn't allowed to read it. And I thought that it would like lose its effect because I've been waiting since I was like 4 years old to get involved. And surprisingly, it did not. And I am a huge Potterhead, or Pottermore, whichever term you prefer. Ravenclaw all the way. We can do this one. Edgar Allan Poe. Isn't this a beautiful? Look at you go, Barnes and Nobles. This is awesome. And yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. Stories and Poems, not complete works, but pretty dang close. I started liking Edgar Allan Poe in 3rd grade when I heard Alan Parsons Project song The Raven, which is really weird but really awesome. It's from like the 70s. And I heard that on the radio with my dad, and I was like, what is this? And it was from Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm like, who's that? So I looked it up, and I was the only 3rd grader who had ever heard of The Raven. And then I read A Telltale Heart, and it was my introduction to horror. And now I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I love horror books, and Stephen King, of course, and all that jazz. And it all started with this, and I'm still a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe. And anyone who has to talk crap about him can get a nice little tap on the head with this book. This book right here, I hate this cover. This is the ugliest book I own, pretty sure. Actually, I have a second, but I'll show you that in a bit. But this book is my favorite children's book by far. The illustrations by Quentin Blake are, of course, amazing. And I love Roald Dahl. He's like sarcastic, but yet a good children's author at the same time, which is really hard to do. And he always has a great message and encourages a lot of intellectual things to children, which I think we're definitely lacking in children's books today. Most children's books today are like, I sat on a log, there was a frog. Yay, frog, we are happy. This is like, listen, you can do awesome things if you're smart enough. So that's always awesome. Then I got this book, and this is a cute story. I got this book in the awesome town of Leadville, Colorado, which is the highest town elevation-wise in the U.S., and it's the cutest little town. Super tiny, full of hippies. I totally belong, and there was this locally owned bookstore right next to this awesome coffee shop, so I had gotten my coffee, went to the bookstore, great atmosphere, couldn't find any books that I could afford or needed. And then this was like tucked in the corner, and it was only $1.50. But I was like, you know, I've been looking for a poetry anthology, but like most poetry books that are anthologies that are this cheap have like the crummy poems of people you never heard of. But actually they have some of my favorites, like Richard Cory. It's one of my favorite poems of all time. And it has Chicago by not Sufjan Stevens, but Carl Sandburg and E.E. Cummings, The Works. So that was total blessing. Now we're going to get down to the best ones. Looking for Alaska. I own almost all of John Green's books except for 2. Actually, if you just reach over yonder, oh, I'm glad my bookshelf didn't fall down. I have The Fault in Our Stars, and I have John's signature, which I wanted so bad, and I got it. Oh my gosh, I'm just happy even looking at it. But this was the second one I read. This one definitely had the most impact, and I really love Alaska. She is like my favorite book girl of all time. Pretty sure she's everyone's favorite book girl. She's just like the epitome of what Daisy Buchanan is in The Great Gatsby, translated into a modern teenage girl. And she is a classic in her own right. And I love John Green, and I think that if I could have dinner with anybody, it'd probably be Jesus and John Green, because he is my favorite author by far. Then we have, you know what, no, you didn't see that. We have The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I just finished about 3 weeks ago, and I hate this. I hate when they tell you it's about to be a motion picture. I'm just like, I like the book. Books are always first in my book. And, anyways, so, Perks of Being a Wallflower, I loved this book. Like, I could relate to this book so freaking much. It reminded me of a bunch of people in my life, and it just really made me, like, re-examine my whole high school life. And, I suggest that every high schooler who has a good maturity level, who likes to read, and who is ready to look inside of themselves and others, read this book. If you want your life to change, read this book. Now we're getting down to the favorites. I love this book so freaking much. This book was impossible to find. I looked for this book at like 18 bookstores. You could never find this book. So when I found it with my Barnes & Noble gift card for my birthday, it's like a little angel was like, yeah, for you. I know you're sad. Take this. Yeah, if you judge a book by its cover, usually it's not good. But as you can see, this cover is super cute, and most covers for this book are super adorable, and this book is so adorable, and like, it makes you reminiscent of your childhood and the adventure. And if you're an adventurer like I am, and you have a creative kind of mindset, then you will love this. And it's like the adult version of Where the Wild Things Are. When I say adult, I just mean it's more expounded and more developed. And once you read this book, see the movie, because the guy who wrote this wrote the screenplay for the movie, and just fantastic. And if you didn't like the movie, don't let that affect the book, because I know a lot of people don't like the movie. You will like this book. And last but not least, definitely not least, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the first book that ever made me laugh out loud. And yeah, it's just like, I guess like if my thought process, like my sense of humor was translated into a book, it'd be this book, like right there. Like it was like I regurgitated my thoughts into a sci-fi novel, and I never thought I would like this. Like, I hate sci-fi, but I love this book, and this is the ugliest cover in the world. If anybody knows where you can buy a really pretty version of this book, please tell me, because I am desperate. But there's my favorite books. Leave comments below what your favorite books are, and I will try to give them a read. And this video has gotten way too long, so I'm going to leave now. Turtles! Bye!